All right, guys, welcome into another episode of the Queen City Soccer Show. I am your host, Cole Godfrey, joined as always with my co-host, Luke. Level up, Luke. Luke, it has been way too long, man. How you been? How's life going for you in this off season for Charlotte FC? Where, you know what, we've kind of taken a little bit of a break here at the Queen City Soccer Show and kicked our feet up. No more. We are back in it, and we're back in it all the way. We got preseason going on. We got departures, arrivals. We got a lot to get into this episode, Luke. How you been, man?
Yeah, Cole, it's been quite a while. I know we've both been active on Twitter and some of the social media, but in terms of recording an episode, obviously life has gotten pretty hectic, and without that constant barrage of soccer games and soccer activities, it just kind of slowed down over here. So it's good to be back with you here, and we certainly have a lot to discuss. You know, in terms of how the season ended, what's been going on with the club, all the changes in the off season. There's always going to be the trade rumors and the players leaving, new players arriving. We got a preseason that just started up today with the team reporting back for training. So, yeah, I mean, I'd say without any more hesitation, let's tell the folks where they can find us and we can get started. Bring everybody up to speed.
Yeah. So obviously you can find us for the podcast specifically anywhere you listen to podcasts. We're on there at the Queen City Soccer Show. We would love if you do listen and you do support the show and you like the show and you like Lou and myself. You tell your friends about it, subscribe, rate us at 5 stars, like it, share it, all that good stuff. On socials, on Twitter. It's probably the most active at QCS Pod. You can find us on YouTube. We do have a YouTube channel. We do have a TikTok. And look, why don't you tell them what those are?
Yeah, so you can find us on YouTube and TikTok at QCS Pod, on Blue Sky at QCS Pod. For those of you that have joined the new alternative to Twitter, and Instagram at QCS Pod _ of course. And yeah, we give us a rating, review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Just let us know if you want to hear more episodes. Any feedback, questions for us, you can drop them in the socials. We'll make sure to get to your questions and comments in the episode. We love giving shout outs to our community. And yeah, we've been in touch. We have a Discord server where we keep up with some of the folks. We have a Twitter group chat where we keep up with folks. If you want to be involved in that kind of thing, let us know. And we can all celebrate Charlotte soccer together.
Absolutely.
Cool.
So, Luke, obviously, like I said a minute ago, it's been too long, really. We once we last seen Charlotte FC, obviously they were bowing out in the MLS Cup playoffs to Orlando City and penalties down in Orlando. Since then, we have had a ton of happenings, if you will, with the club. Is from all the way to front office, obviously players to play-by-play announcers, and so yeah, we got a lot to talk about and to dive in. Luke, let's start with this happened today, so and I love her to death, so I just want to touch on Jess real quick. Jessica Sharman, who is Willie's P's co-host, play-by-play, whatever you want to do, color, whatever she is specifically. She is the other voice of Charlotte FC for it has been since this club's foundation, and has done just a tremendous job calling these games with such enthusiasm, such knowledge of soccer, and just the yin to Willie P. Yang, and did a great job. So I just want to say, from us here at the Queen City Soccer Show, Jess, you'll be just significantly missed, and we hate to see you go, but at the same time, we wish you nothing but the best, and just have great success, which I know you will in your future endeavors.
Absolutely. Shout out to Jess Sharman, friend of the pod. She's been on here before. I've always enjoyed talking with her on Twitter and at the games. It's going to be definitely a hole to fill in the Charlotte community. She has set a very high bar, and her experience as a goalkeeper, legendary. Her massive fandom of soccer, both in England, here in the U.S. with MLS, with the women's professional leagues. She is just a top notch person and top notch member of the sports media community. So, Jess, we love you and best of luck on your future endeavors. We'll definitely be following it from over here. She's been on Sirius XM, so I don't know if that's going to continue now or even expand, but check her out on the Sirius XM soccer channel and just shout out to one of the most quality people in this community.
Yeah, absolutely. Not enough good things to say about, or too much good things to say about Jess, as I should say. And it's sad, but we look forward to what Jess has going on in the future.
You know, life is a journey,
So
and we have some folks transitioning in that journey away from Charlotte FC, Jess included. We also have Joe LeBou, the president of Charlotte FC, who is moving on to other adventures. He is in a consulting role for now as the season begins. Tepper Sports has eliminated the president position from Charlotte FC and is wrapping it into Tepper Sports and Entertainment, the parent company. So the new head of Charlotte FC will be a business professional from Tepper Sports Entertainment, not a soccer professional from the Charlotte FC side. So we have that to look forward to. They have an interim in place right now, and I believe they are searching for the person to actively fill that position. Uh, Zoran Kraneta remains in place. My understanding is this season will be like a contract year for him, make or break. So the Z-Man, if he brings in some good signings and we see the success, then he may get renewed for another contract term, and if not, we may be looking for a new general manager as well.
yeah, and what's that great quote, Luke, where part of the journey is the end.
Yeah,
And with Joe and Jess, it's just, and that, I mean, and not only that, we have players that left, which we'll get to, and it's, you hate to see them go, but it is a part of this. This is a business, make no mistake about it. We've talked about it a ton of times when it comes to specifically to some previous managers here at Charlotte FC. This is a business. It's going to be treated as a business. As much as you get attached to these people and love these people and the great things that they do for this club, it's temporary,
yeah.
and we all have to keep that in mind. So yeah, let's touch on that real quick, Luke. The Joe LeBou situation and who's going to be taking over with David Tepper Sports and stuff. What are I'll give you my thoughts first. Because I don't like this from a personal standpoint. This I feel like the club itself with Joe in charge and Zoran. I feel like they've done a good job in 3 seasons, man. You go to the playoffs in year 3 under a new coach and Dean Smith, and you don't just go to the playoffs, man. You realistically you probably should have advanced in the playoffs, and so that's another step forward. Some of the players that they brought in this past season were an integral part of that. And that same core, if you will, kind of looks to be coming back and reshaping up for Charlotte FC's 2025 season. And I would much rather have a soccer guy or gal in that position ahead of or at the top of this club versus just a businessman or woman. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, this is a transition you're seeing. I think a real focus from Tepper Sports and Entertainment. It feels like when you're in corporate America and you're not seeing the fiscal results you're looking for, your employer calls in maybe an outside team to evaluate top to bottom the structure of your organization and make a lot of suggestions for improvement. And I think we all know in the current business environment that usually involves cutting jobs, cutting positions, streamlining efficiency, and really a focus on the bottom dollar. And that bites back at me as a Charlotte FC fan extra hard because I feel like the tickets have already gone up 40%, since year one. And if you're already increasing the ticket prices that much, I mean, for one of the more profitable clubs in MLS, one of the highest attended clubs in MLS, it seems like they're just trying to gouge us for more money. And I would love to be surprised, but what we have really built our reputation on is the fan culture. And I don't see anything here that signals to me that they're prioritizing the fan culture or the values that the people I know in the community hold dear. We have CFO Sean, the chief fan officer, and it sounded silly to me. It sounded like a gimmick when I first heard it, and I was very, I think, reluctant to put much hope in that position. But from talking with Sean when we did the interview with him, that's a game day management position. That is a combination of various roles in sports front office where he was really coordinating a lot of what made the experience so special on game day, the traditions, liaising with the fan council, helping to organize the tailgate activities, the pregame, and being that go-between from the community into the club. And the more I learned about what he did, it's a thankless position because all he would do is just
Yeah.
take shots online all the time. So I don't think I could do that. You got to have very thick skin. But that position's been eliminated. So there's no more chief fan officer. Sean obviously went to towards the end of last season out west to manage the Las Vegas Lights in USL Championship. I believe he's the president of the organization over there.
Yep.
Congrats, happy trails. We had a number of departures from the communications team within Charlotte FC. It's been a lot of turnover. Thomas Schalling, I think is how you say his name, the head scout, has departed Charlotte FC, and he was one of that found that core group when the team started out, even before the official first season. And he went back to PSV Eindhoven, I believe, where he was from previously, and he's going to work alongside Ernie Davis from the U.S. national team organization, who's over there now. If I'm getting the names right here, I'm just going off the top of my head. I want to say Ernie Hudson, but I think that's an actor from the 80s. Um, so yeah, best of luck to all these people because they helped build Charlotte FC into what it is now. Joe LeBou, especially. Every interaction I've had with him has been tremendous. He is just such a great guy, and the faith and the belief he had in this club, in this community, it goes a long way. It really helped to build what we have now, and I want him to know it's appreciated. That's the kind of quality individual that you want to have associated with your club. Darius Barnes with Crown Legacy is out. He won the award for up and coming sports professional for MLS last year, I believe, and then this year he was just on another very prestigious list. So he's getting recognition from all corners, but he's no longer with Crown Legacy. So it's a little disheartening when I see these people that I feel are very talented and have been so crucial to our success, moving on in their journeys. It makes me wonder, okay, who's coming in? Who's taking over? And I know some of those announcements have already been made. I'm going to be honest with you, Cole. I don't know much about these other names that are being brought in, so I hesitate to even bring them up because I don't really have anything to say about them. I don't know enough about it.
Yeah, and it's kind of what we were saying a minute ago. I mean, we get attached to these people. I mean, we've had Jess on the show, we've had Sean on the show. We were in constant communication with Will, who also went out to Las Vegas with Sean, and in the communications department. And while we love Woody, I personally I talked to Will a lot more. Will Martin, I talked to him a lot more, and so you get to know these people, and you get to build this camaraderie with them, and then obviously, like we said a second ago, it's a business. They're going to depart when they find an opportunity that better suits them and their families. And make no mistake, these people have families, so they're going to do what's best for them, and you can't hold any of that against them whatsoever. So, with that being said, Luke, do you want to get into some player departure and arrivals, or arrival and departures?
Yeah, absolutely. I think from the end of the season, we knew that this squad would be changing. We had a lot of pieces and components in place with these players that I feel like Dean was making do with as the new manager, but they weren't Dean's people, and it wasn't quite part of his vision. So that's to be expected. Every time you have a transition of leadership, Dean didn't have a lot of runway going into the season. He kept the coaching staff mostly the same. He kept the players mostly the same. And we did have some movements last year, but I think the whole Karol Swiderski of it all kind of threw things off in that summer transfer window. And just to be frank, we swung and missed on a number of signings that were leaked into the media. You know, we had some big names like Al Marone who were floated in the summer transfer window, didn't end up materializing. We had promising young players from South America and Europe that, big numbers were floated, but it didn't materialize. So, Cole, do you have a list? Do you have the players that left at the end of the season?
I actually have what's pulled up as I actually have like the arrivals. I was gonna do departures second, but
Okay.
um, uh, let's start with the MLS Super Draft for Charlotte. Okay, so Charlotte did pick up three people in the 2025 MLS Super Draft. Their first pick, they traded their 17th overall pick and $100,000 in GAM to San Diego FC for the ninth overall pick. And they picked Micah Thomas. He's a defender out of the University of Connecticut. I'll be honest with you. I don't know a lot about him. He was he. I just know that he was a product of MLS Next in the Jacksonville Armada. I did see that, but I haven't seen too much about him. Um, and then in the second round, they picked Andrew Johnson from Cornell University, another defender. And then in the third round, they closed it out and picked 17 in the third round. They went with a forward. And this guy I'm actually a little bit more familiar with is Barzi Blama. A lot of people know this if they listen to this. So I get to actually work with Furman University, who is in the SoCon, and so is Mercer, which is where he played. I actually got to watch Blama a good bit in person, and I'll be honest with you, dude. His movement off the ball, his quickness, this dude is rapid. He scored 13 goals and 3 assists in 33 starts, and he was all SoCon second team in 2023, 2024, all freshman team in 23. And this guy was, and college soccer College Soccer News named him to their 2023 All Freshman First Team. So this guy's got talent, and I'm excited to see him. He's more than likely going to be with Crown Legacy, as probably all these guys are as they're coming up. You may see Micah or Micah, however it's pronounced. You may see him, out in Coachella, but these guys more likely will be on Crown Legacy, and it's hard. I mean, these have worked out for us in the past. Obviously, Hamidi Diop, he is no longer with the club in any way. He is now with San Diego FC, which he was one of our super draft picks. But look, man, Big Pat super draft pick. Privet super draft. I mean, we got some of these guys have come straight into this club and made a huge impact. So which one, who's it going to be next? And I think that's a testament to the front office and to the scouting department and what they see and what they're going after, because it seems to be working.
Absolutely. Just a reminder for folks during the off season, there are a few mark the calendar type events. One of those is the roster decision date. We'll talk about that soon. One of them is the Super Draft, which is a chance for every MLS team to select multiple prospects. If you get certain players that are the highest rated of the draft, there's usually, I think, 3 to 5 of them that are marked as Generation Adidas. Then their salary cap amounts are covered by Adidas as part of this deal for a certain number of it might be the first season or the first 2 seasons. And we have gotten some generation Adidas players previously, like Hamidi Diop, Ben Bender. So that's an interesting thing. We were not in a position to draft one of those prospects this go around. In the past, we've traded up for higher ranked prospects, but we have a pretty good track record as far as the super draft goes. Most of those players are still in the system. They're names that you sickos would know. Jelani Forbes. You got Hamidi Diop now with San Diego, Patrick Ajiman was a super draft pick. So there's a lot of benefit you can get from the super draft. There's also what's called uh, the expansion draft. So when a team is starting out, like Charlotte was starting out, that first season going in, you get to pick 5 players from other teams in MLS. Every MLS team can protect, I think it's 12 players, and those are not eligible for this draft. There's some strategy with how you do this. Like, you don't necessarily have to protect some of your DP players because the acquiring club still needs to pay the salary for that year. So they're probably going to want to bring in their own DPs. So you don't need to protect somebody like Karol Swiderski because unless San Diego is going to, strategize to bring in your DP at the price you're currently paying for him, that's not really a valid option for them to begin with. It is really good to pick up key young prospects that have a very low salary cap hit, but could be one of those building block pieces. And that's where San Diego picked Hamidi Diop from Charlotte. So they must see something in him. I know on this program we've talked about Hamidi Diop, and he's very talented. He has a lot of potential. But from watching Crown Legacy and talking to people around the club, it didn't seem like he was really in our long term plans at this point. So that's an instance where, as fans, we kind of say, all right, well, hey, Hamidi, thank you for coming to Charlotte. We appreciate your time. Best of luck moving forward, right? Like it's not necessarily a big hit for us as Charlotte FC fans. But I do wish him the best. I hope that he can realize some of that potential, and maybe a change of scenery is what he needs. I'll tell you what, if you had to get traded anywhere in the country, Cole, I would challenge you to pick a better city than San Diego. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, I mean, him and he's a local guy. I mean, played college soccer at Clemson, so it was cool to have that little tie. But again, like we've said this so many times, it's a business, man. So they're going to do what they think is the best thing for this club. A little bit more news on the incoming front. This was announced today. It's not really incoming because he's already been here, but we'll say it is incoming. So Pep Biel, it was announced today, January 13th, that they're going to go ahead and acquire him on loan until August 1st, 2025. So after this, coming up this summer from Olympiacos, and obviously, Pep, we know kind of what he brings to the table. He did get to see a significant amount of playing time that last month or so for Charlotte FC, and Luke, this is something where he is going to actually get to have a full preseason camp with Dean and start this season with this club, which I think is going to make a just massive, massive, massive impact for this club and Pep himself. I like Pep. He was kind of inconsistent, which is kind of to be expected when you're coming in halfway through the season and trying to figure your footing, how this team goes, how Coach Smith likes to play. So getting this preseason in with him is going to be massive. What's your thoughts on Pep coming back?
Yeah, so this was pretty much the ideal situation. We talked about it last year. Pep seems like a useful player. He brings some tools to the table that I think we can benefit from. I really, geeked out on his technical ability when we saw flashes of it. That being said, I didn't feel like at the time he was a DP level player. And not to say he couldn't be in the future. I know MLS takes some time for players to adjust and get used to it. So maybe at some point in the future, he may be a DP level player. And that could be part of the gamble here, acquiring him on loan. There is going to be an option to buy at the end of the loan term. And my understanding is if we exercise that purchase option, he would be taking up a DP spot on the roster at that point. So that's going to be
Yeah, so
mid-season for us.
so he's not at this moment coming back on loan. He is not going to occupy a designated player slot.
Correct.
He will, however, take up an international roster slot on the roster.
Correct.
But as of this moment, yeah, he's not a DP. But with that option to buy, and again, I agree with you, man. I think that Pep, the talent is there. Or I mean, this guy was ridiculous at Copenhagen and was really good at Olympiacos. So I think it's one of those things where he's gonna getting this start off the season with this club. I think is gonna make a massive, massive impact. And to have him and Abada and Kerwin and to just keep gelling and keep meshing. I think this is a big deal. I really do. So I mean, yeah. You wanted to? Do you want to talk about any rumors coming in, or you just want to just stick to what we know at the moment?
Well, I think it's a good transition here to talk about, Pep Biel is going to take up an international spot. That's okay because it's being offset by two factors here. One, um, Yuri Euronin is no longer with the club. He's been traded to a team in Sweden. So our left back that I loved, I thought was one of the best pieces we had on this team roster. Um, Unfortunately, that one hurts a lot. That hurts more than probably any other departure to me personally. I was a big Euronin fan and definitely, once again, wish him the best. But that frees up an international roster spot. Also, the option for Jamie Patterson has been declined, which I believe also frees up that international roster spot. Um, Along with Jamie Patterson, Junior Urso and Jalen Lindsay have also had their options declined. I've seen some social media of Jalen out in San Diego, so maybe we'll see him land on his feet there, or a USL club. I think there's a lot of great soccer ahead for Jalen Lindsay. I
Yeah, for
did
sure.
expect Junior Urso to get picked up by the club, so that was a surprise that he was not. I think he, like Brant Bronico, is a dog. He's a grinder, and he was responsible for some of that late season playoff success for the club. And he made some mistakes as well. That we got to mention that. But I was an Urso fan. The club has exercised the options of 9 players, and now 8 of those are still with the club. But so these 8 players are now in contract years, where the club will either have to let them go at the end of the season or re-sign them. Patrick Ajiman does not have a new contract yet. Hashtag pay Pat. Ben Bender is in a contract year. I had suspected the club might not pick up the option on Ben Bender because we had loaned him out at the end of the season to the USL with the Tampa Bay Rowdies, I believe. Brandon Cambridge is back with the club. Jelani Forbes, George Marks. George Marks, another one. I thought he might not get his option picked up, but he is back with us. Andrew Privet, of course. We got Privet with us. Nicholas Scardina, who's been doing really good with Crown Legacy, and Tiger Smalls. So, you listen to this podcast, you've heard us mention all of these players in the past numerous times. They're all still with the club, and Pep Biel re-signing. So those are all big moves. I have been hearing rumors. One of those rumors with Pep Biel was that the option to buy was going to be mandatory. And you'll remember we got kind of caught off guard last year because we heard the same thing about Karol Swiderski's loan over to Italy, Serie A. We heard that was a mandatory option to buy, but apparently it was not. And that was a misread of the situation because the club that was taking Carroll in said, "No, we're broke. We can't pay him right now." That's Hellas Verona, I believe, and they are now back in the bidding for Karol Swiderski. There have been talks with them and with a few other clubs, I believe, for Carroll's services. I've heard speculation about 1 or 2 MLS clubs that may be interested in acquiring Carroll, but most of that action is with Italy, Greece, and maybe some other European leagues. So we'll see what happens with Carroll. I would be shocked if he plays the first game of the season for Charlotte FC. We desperately need designated players. We need a DP10.
Yep.
We need somebody who can create in the attacking mid. We need a striker. Arguably, I mean, I love Patrick Ajiman, and we can talk about more about Patrick Ajiman because he's been all over the news lately for all the right reasons. And he also needs a new contract. So, I think we need to get that done, but we can't have one, target striker up there. We need to have more options, in my opinion.
I agree, and I think why do we do this? Why do we wait and wait and wait and wait to get these DPs in? Man, obviously the situation with Carroll is kind of ongoing and kind of fluid at the moment. And I'm to the point now, Luke, and I like Carol Swiderski, but I'm tired of this, man. I am so tired of this drama and soap opera that is Carol Swiderski. I like him as a player. Well, he came back. He was in very good form to end the season last year. And he said all the right things when he came back from Italy, how much he wanted to prove that he loved that he wanted to play for this club and yada yada yada. We knew what was going to happen. We knew after the season was over, he was going to try to go back to Europe because that's where his heart is, and that's fine. For God's sakes, can we not loan this guy and just sell him and get him out from underneath us? You know
Well,
what I'm saying? Like it's
so this is not a Carol Swiderski problem. I don't want the haters out there who have been in our mentions and have been, talking to us for the last season to think that we are attacking Carol directly. It's not about Carol. This is about
right.
roster
No, no, no,
decisions.
no.
This is about the club. Okay.
Yeah,
And I think it is a reflection on Zoran Kraneta directly. It can't be anything other than a reflection on Zoran Kraneta. So pressure's on Z man. I mean, look, results talk, bullshit walks, man. What are we doing here? We got one more season for you to prove that you can bring in a superstar to Charlotte FC. And in
yeah,
order to bring in a superstar, we have to move out Carroll. We have to free up that roster spot
have to.
because right now he does not fit in the plans. If you look at how this club is constructed, the pieces that we have in place, our club right now is not designed to support Carol Swiderski. That's my opinion.
Yeah, and I mean, again, I want to echo what you said. I'm not attacking Carroll, but make no mistake, Carroll has made it very well known that he does not. He wants to be in Europe. It's not that he. That's the thing. It's not that he just don't want to be at Charlotte or he hates Charlotte. It's not that. It's that he wants to be in Europe. It's kind of like like if you put down a chocolate chip cookie in front of me and you put down a oatmeal raisin cookie in front of me, I'll eat the oatmeal raisin cookie. Like I will. I prefer the chocolate chip cookie. And that's kind of the way Carol, I think, looks at this. And again, it's not him. It's not on him to make this decision as far as moving him on. That is up to the Z Man. And speaking of the Z Man, Charlotte has signed someone else. They signed Eric Williamson from Portland Timbers. They did trade around. Tom Bogert reports around the region of $100,000 of GAM up front and more GAM and add-ons in the future. And this is an interesting one to me, Luke, because he's a midfielder. We do need midfielders. At the same time, this guy has had multiple ACL injuries.
Yeah.
He's like I said, he's 27. He has had some caps for the United States men's national team. He's a good player. He is a good player when he's healthy.
Right.
The problem is when he plays on turf, the guy not stay healthy. And there's just some people like that out there. I'm not hoping that for him. I hope he is as healthy as a horse comes here and does phenomenally. But the fact is it's to me, it's kind of a gamble. And it's not one that again, he's relatively young. I mean, at 27, I mean, he could come in here and make an impact. I'm not saying that he can't. I worry about the injury bug with this guy. What are your thoughts on Eric?
Well, I was going to say, the playing surface that we have at Bank of America, that we have on our training
Right.
pitches, it's turf, man. Like, that's been a complaint from the fan base from day one. And I feel like we've all got tired of talking about it, but it's still a factor. If I could change one thing about this club tomorrow, you know, I think I might say the playing surface even ahead of a DP10 signing. If I could have a nice grass field like we had before Daddy Tepper came to town, we had the highest rated, most award winning grass field in the NFL at Bank of America Stadium. And we ripped it out and put in turf so that we can have year round events. And that is a choice that was made. You see the concert lineup coming up next year. It's another massive, concert year for Bank of America Stadium. They're going to be holding more events. The Savannah Bananas are coming to town. There's a lot of things going on with the stadium, so having a multi-use field makes sense financially if you're going to do. Actually, hey, I'll throw this out to you. Have you seen that show on HBO, Showtime, about the Los Angeles Lakers?
Have not. I've seen clips from the show, but I have not sat down and watched the show.
It's fantastic, man. I mean, I'm not just gonna throw out there like 10 out of 10, but it's right. It might be a 9 out of 10, if not, just I highly recommend it. But John C. Riley plays Jerry Buss, and he has a line in there where he talks about the Forum in LA, and he says, we're losing money because we're only using the Forum for basketball games a few nights a year. We need to be using this facility every night of the year. And so he had a directive to create a lot of events and create a spectacle and make it a destination venue. And I feel like Tepper's doing the same thing because you're leaving money on the table if you're only using it for, 8 NFL games a year because we're not making the playoffs. And then however many soccer games, 16 soccer games now. You're still leaving a lot of money on the table. So getting more events in here makes sense on paper, but you're compromising the quality of the product on those NFL Sundays and on the MLS game days. So, I understand it. I don't like it as a fan because I'm not a fan of those concerts. I'm a fan of the soccer team. So I want the best interest of the soccer team. I want us to get more international soccer games. I want us to get, World Cup. I want us to get Club World Cup. And we are getting some Club World Cup, but not as many dates as some other venues. And a big factor in that is that we have turf. And if they have a requirement for grass, we have to import that in. So we're bringing grass back in for those events, but not for our own soccer team. Um, in a perfect world, maybe we could alternate the field like they do in Spain, I believe. What is it, AC Milan, where they have the removable pitch? They can cycle through various pitches. I would love something like that, but it is cost prohibitive. So, it is what it is. But talking about Eric, the new acquisition, I like this deal on paper. My first reaction was 100 GAM. That's fine. He's taking up less than a max salary cap hit for a player, so it's not a TAM deal. It's not a DP deal. This is a key midfield signing. This is somebody who's going to be more useful to us right now than like a Bill Tuoloma. And I get that Big Bill is a good locker room presence. I think him more forgiving because I see more upside with him based on the skills he does have. He has that long ball, that line crossing ball that he can directly counterattack opposing side. So I like that with Bill, but he can't keep pace with the back line. He becomes an offside liability, and that's dangerous. And when we first signed him, he made some really bad mistakes right off the gate. So most of the fans tuned him out immediately. Um, with Eric, I think there's a lot more upside. I think he's kind of like uh, the substitute player for Ashley Westwood. When you're assuming that Ashley, who played more minutes and ran more miles than almost anybody in MLS last year, as he continues to age, he may not be able to repeat that performance. God forbid he gets some kind of an injury and he's out for a few weeks. You need somebody who can step in and be that understudy. So I like Eric in that role. I think on paper he looks like a dangerous player. The salary still might be a little bit high, but we're freeing up some salary cap space, and Daddy Tepper is showing that he's willing to spend. So you got to like that. That's an upside, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Well, before we move into some preseason key dates here
Well,
and what we can look forward
yeah,
to.
let's talk about some rumors because we've had the rumor mill flying fast and furious, and your friend and mine, Tom Bogert, has been reporting on some of these rumors and these links that Charlotte FC has. Miguel Almiron is still in the conversation, apparently, and that would be a huge pickup. That would be your DP10.
Yeah, and I mean, that's something we've all clamored for what 2 seasons now, is that DP10, and I make no mistake about it. Miguel Almiron is a phenomenal, phenomenal player. We've seen what he did at MLS in his previous stint with Atlanta United, leading them to an MLS Cup, and then obviously making the move over to the Premier League with Newcastle. Man, I'll be honest with you, he's been good at Newcastle. He's actually, when they kind of were on their come up and moving from cellar dwellers in the Premier League to top 10 finishes and close and being in European finishes spots. he was a big part of that, and obviously he loved MLS, and it would be it would be a home run signing if you can get that one over the line. But it's one of those things where you know it's like a everything would have to fall into place to be able to get Miguel here. And I'm not saying that can't happen, but I personally I'm gonna have to see it to believe it. And trust me, if I see it, I'm gonna freak out and I'm gonna be like everyone else and be just absolutely ecstatic and over the moon about it because it would be to me realistically it would be the biggest signing in the club history.
Would you buy a new kit?
1,000 dude, look, when Miguel was at Atlanta, obviously we know what Atlanta and Charlotte is. We know that it's to hell with those guys. I understand that. When before Charlotte FC was a club, Atlanta United was a club. So we got to take in the very real factor here that we are in the Southeast, and Atlanta United was really the first Southeastern club that you could root for. So, like many other Charlotte FC fans, I liked the Atlanta United, and I rooted for them. And that was when they had Joseph Martinez and Pity Martinez and Miguel Almiron. But dude, Miguel Almiron, watching him play and the style in which he plays, and just the personality that he has, just that happy go lucky, style, but on the field, just an absolute velociraptor. I would absolutely rock a number 10 Almiron kit in the blue.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, speaking of kits, I want to remind everybody this is Charlotte FC news that I don't remember if we broke it or if we just, corroborated some reports on it last year. But Charlotte FC will have their new kit this year to replace the Crown Jewel kit, the purple one. I believe, what is that called? Like a city kit or something? Um, I've heard
The
rumors.
Crown Jewel kit.
Well, the Crown Jewel kit was the purple one, but that style of kit I think is called the City kit, and
Oh,
we have a new one replacing it. So the rumors I've heard is it might be a blue base of some kind, and we also have this is the one we were talking about last year, almost a year ago. I think it was last March or April. We talked about Adidas grants a third alternate kit to clubs that lead the league in jersey sales. So based on our jersey sale numbers from our debut season, we earned the right for an alternate kit starting this year. So there will be a second debut kit for Charlotte FC this year in 2025. So two new kits coming your way. That third alternate kit, I've heard rumors it might be a black base kit. So we'll see what happens with that. I might not be correct, so don't take that as gospel, but just what I've heard from sources that we definitely do have two new kits coming this year, and one of them may be a blue base and one of them may be a black base. So we'll see how that goes.
yeah, and I mean that mint kit from the debut season, that black and mint,
Love it.
dude. Does it get better than that, man?
That's my favorite. That's still my number
Th-
one.
And that's the vast majority of Charlotte FC fans, number one, in my opinion. Like, I mean, from everybody I talk to, my wife, and then obviously just everyone that we are in contact and community with in the Charlotte FC sphere, the mint kit was just absolutely next level. But yeah, so Luke, we do have some big news when it comes to a couple of these players. One not so big because it's pretty much the norm for him,
Yeah. Well, let's
but
talk about him first
Tim Ream,
because yeah,
yeah, Tim Ream gets called up for another United States men's national team camp.
and I believe he's the
This
captain.
January camp.
I believe he's the captain for this session.
He is the captain. They had the U.S. men's national team will be playing Venezuela Saturday, January 18th at 3 o'clock, and then Costa Rica Wednesday, January 22nd at 7 o'clock. Luke, we have massive news for another young player on Charlotte FC who's getting hopefully his first international cap with the United States men's national team. And you can give him a call whenever you want, just like Ghostbusters. It's Big Pat.
Yep. Hey, I'm picking up the phone. You got to dial him in. You need a goal. You call Pat. Big Pat, Patrick Achaman, our man for Charlotte FC. I'll tell you what, man, he put this entire club on his back numerous times in his very short career. We all knew this guy was destined for greatness coming out of Division Three Central Connecticut State, going to Rhode Island. I think Eastern Connecticut State. I might have misspoken. Um, to Rhode Island in Division One, to the MLS Super Draft, drafted by Charlotte FC. You know him, you love him. Crown Legacy Zone, Charlotte FC Zone. Big Pat gets the call up for the U.S. national team, and we talked about it on this podcast, I believe, that the new gaffer for the U.S. squad was in Orlando watching, and we thought it might be Tim Ream, but I said on here, and I know I said on Twitter, he might also be watching Big Pat, scouting him out a little bit. And the Deep Cuts U.S. men's national team Twitter presence were starting to pick up on Pat midway through last season. And they started sharing the clips and the highlights of him saying, what the hell? How is this guy not on the radar? Like, look at what he does. We don't have a striker that has the skill set. We don't have that big physical presence. And lo and behold, here we go. Big Pat, what a just American, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, bet on yourself kind of story. You just love to see it. The dude has worked relentlessly hard. He's, so gifted, his physical size. But what I love, man, is his attitude. That he is unflappable. When he was, outshining his position competition and then getting benched, and he wasn't getting the minutes. Did you ever see him sulking? Did you ever see any ego about him whatsoever? Not at all. But he stayed ready. He stayed ready because when the team needed him, they'd call him in off the bench, and he would do 90 minutes worth of work, even if they only gave him 10 minutes on the pitch. I mean, leave it all out there. I cannot say enough good things. Pat has to be my favorite player on this team. If not, he's right there with them. But, what a story, man. Just, you love to see it. And the video package that Charlotte FC put together, I think U.S. national team reposted it. I mean, his story is just amazing. And he comes from the Northeast, not too far from where I grew up. When you grow up in that kind of an environment where it's snow and it's cold and you don't have the sunlight, it can feel like things are kind of hopeless sometimes. And he was talking about his high school and how there were no pro athletes that had come out of his high school or his area. And you see the soccer field he played at. That pitch is not playable for, at least half of the year. It's covered in snow. It's going to be waterlogged when the snow melts. It's tough to come from these kind of areas, but you put in the work and you put in, the confidence and the faith in yourself and your family, your support structure. You work your way up. He did that. He started out at a local school, caught on with a D1 school, and now is in the MLS. Anything can happen, man. And we're seeing a rise of players like this in this country, which makes me so excited to be an MLS fan. And man, just I can't say enough good things about him.
Yeah, I mean, I echo everything you just said. And you know what I didn't know that I actually did need in my life, Luke, and that is braided Big Patrick Ajimama. Have you seen the
Uh,
braids
I
on the guy?
I saw the photos of him. I think getting off the bus, and I took a quick glance, and I'm like, something different here. Is it the braids? I got to check that out.
Yeah, dude, I needed braid. I need it.
Did Kerwin
And
do it?
again, this is just the what?
Did Kerwin Vargas do the braids for him?
I don't know, but I mean, Kerwin's always looked mighty fine themselves. So I mean, you never know. I will say this, man. This is just an invite to training camp. This doesn't mean that he's actually going to get, going to be playing for the U.S. in these matches or anything, but he's there. And with a person like Big Pat, he's there in front of Mauricio Pochettino and his staff. To me, he's going to see, you know, like a better phrase, Big Pat in all his glory because he is in person. He is so much better to
Right.
watch going against defenders and just how he glides past them. And you know, it won't be long, man. If he starts, say if he does play against Venezuela or Costa Rica, has a goal or has a goal contribution or something, it will not take long for big clubs, other clubs to come knocking at Charlotte FC's door for Big Pat. And while obviously we're super super proud and just ecstatic for him and the opportunity that he's getting to represent his country, it's going to come with more challenges because he's going to miss some of the preseason. We'll talk about here in a second with his own club. But at the same time, the opportunities for his career are
Invaluable.
going to grow exponentially.
Yeah. So I talked about this last year. I know I've been harking on it, but he also has eligibility to play for Ghana. So I think if you can lock him with the U.S. national team, that's a good move by the federation because he's the kind of player that this kind of January camp is designed for. Where if you get him some playing time, you lock him with the 2 games, and he's in that U.S. pool as he continues to develop. We all call January camp, the kind of like rookie camp. It's designed to identify and evaluate upcoming talent, and they may not be a good fit for the A team right now, but as they develop in their career, if you have them um, locked with your federation, then they're in your player pool, and we don't have to risk losing him to somebody like a Ghana if he does blow up and go Super Saiyan, in a few seasons, and he's playing in a top 5 league in Europe. We already have him in our player pool, so I think it's a good decision. I'm excited by the U.S.'s new coach. I think Pochettino said in one of the conferences that he's not going to be um, handcuffed by decisions made in previous administrations as far as his strategy and his player selection. This is a fresh start for everybody. And I think, we're going to see some players that have not been given the opportunity with the U.S. team to kind of come back into the fold. So I'm excited as an American outlaw, as a U.S. national team fan. I'm excited to see some of these players that maybe felt hard done by Berhalter or previous coaches, and the up and coming players who never got a shot. Like, could you see Berhalter bringing in Patrick Ajiman? Absolutely not.
Yeah,
Absolutely
no,
not. And good luck to Chicago Fire because I know your owners are willing to spend money, but I I cannot predict good things happening in Chicago with Berhalter in charge. I'm not hoping for it, but my prediction is that they're going to be, bottom quarter of the East this coming season, without much prospects of improvement moving forward after that. My way too early prediction. And
well, I'll
meanwhile,
be honest with you. I hope it. I hope it. To hell with Chicago.
well, I mean, we've had some contests with them in the past, and we usually come out on top. But
We
um,
do. We do.
but yeah, I think Nashville with BJ is really exciting, and for our longtime listeners, obviously, Nashville is kind of like my number two team. As much as they're in the South, and I would love it to be a rivalry. That's like our sister club, as far as I'm concerned. I love their fan base. They have the second coolest mascot in MLS, and they got my boy BJ as the head coach, man. So I'm hoping good things from Nashville, and Chicago is kind of the opposite situation.
For sure. And so, with that being said, like we said, Big Pat, go out there and get him, man. And
Oh,
uh,
hey
yeah, so
Cole, breaking news,
yeah,
since we've been gone. Speaking of the U.S. national team, our wonder kid, Nympha, has been called up to the U.S. U19 team again in the fall window, and was recently caught training with Manchester United. Uh,
yep,
Nymphasha Berchamis is a freak. He is a future, 5 star in college football. We call him a 5 star prospect. The kid is destined to do amazing, wonderful things. He's already doing it. He scored, I think, twice in the Man U friendly games they played with that training squad. And I mean, the kid is, I think he's still 17, like, and he's playing for the
yep.
U.S. U19 team. He can't, from my understanding, and U.S. like visa rules, I don't think he can be traded to a European side until he's either 19 or 20. But man, we have to appreciate him and celebrate him while we have him because he already made his debut
Yep.
for Charlotte FC last season, And this kid is making a name for himself on the international stage at the Premier League level. I mean, dude, Nympha is the future.
Yeah, and I mean, he got his cap or his first ever MLS cap last season in game one actually, and it was just a massive media moment, a massive moment for this club really because of how young he was, and then we just never seen him anymore,
Yeah.
and you know which is odd, and because we know the talent's there, we even when he went down to Crown Legacy, man, he was balled out, you know, and so I would like to see a little bit more of Nympha with the first team this season. You know, in a sub role or whatever it may be. I think he's got the talent to be honest with you. I mean, yeah, it's a little different when you're you know when you're going against grown men
Right.
versus you know going against people around your own age. It is I understand the physicality difference there. It is an issue, but talent's talent, man, and he's got it. He's got bukus of it. So yeah, yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Luke, because
Well,
that is great to see him over in England getting his shine.
absolutely. And he's still in the development pipeline. I mean, he's still growing. Physically, he's still growing. So, I think his style of play is going to change, but what's not going to change is that he has, an eye, he has a knack for goal, for scoring, and that is invaluable in soccer. You need players who can score. Hell, Charlotte FC, we need players who can score. Dean said in his
Exactly.
intro press conference today, we need players who can score. We need a midfielder who can give us 10 goals a season. Not our striker, not Karol Swiderski getting 16 goals and 8 of them are penalties. Like, we need actual scoring players. So, I hope we see more of him with the Charlotte first team this season. That might be my way too early bold prediction. I think that's a possibility. But I just want to give a quick shout out to Nympha's family because they are happy and joyous and supremely confident in him. So I know he has a good support structure around him. I actually met some of his family after a Crown Legacy game in Alabama season before last, and they were fantastic. So, just shout out to all these players and the parents out there who have their kids like you, Cole. You got your kid who's a prospect, and if you got kids playing sports, like, yeah, stay on them, help them develop and achieve their goals, but be supportive, be happy for them, celebrate their success. It's huge. And as a parent myself, my kids, as they're starting to get to that age, I look forward to it. So just shout out to the sports parents out there, the families.
Yeah, 100%, no doubt. Well, Luke, we do got some preseason dates coming up here. That's already started, really. So let me touch on these real quick, and we can talk about this. So training began today, January 13th. The club will be traveling to Miami, Florida, January 19th to the 30th, and have a training camp there. And then they'll be returning back to North Carolina to Raleigh, February 5th, to play a friendly at 6 p.m. against North Carolina FC. And this will be the first time, obviously, these clubs have played. I know your feelings on North Carolina FC, and I know they're not very welcoming or warm feelings towards them. So I just thought that was pretty cool. And then literally the next day, February 6th through the 15th, fly out to California for the annual, seems like, Coachella Valley Invitational. The 9th is when they'll have their first friendly out there against LA Galaxy at 1 p.m. And then the 15th, they'll have another friendly against the Timbers at 1 p.m. as well. That's pretty much what we got to look forward to. Then obviously, home opener, which is going to be massive, March 1st at 2 p.m. against the bitter rivals of Atlanta United. So we got a lot coming up. It's that time of the year again, Luke. I'm getting ramped up, man. I'm getting in that mode. I'm getting excited.
You feel it?
I wake up every morning. I feel it's in the air. Well, when it's cold outside, because those first, that first month of games up in Charlotte is always freezing. And it just, when I feel that chill and that coldness in the air, it just brings me back to the early season games where we sell out that stadium, that first home game, no matter who they're playing, but it's going to be even more raucous because it's Atlanta United. and I'm getting antsy, man. I'm getting antsy. But to feed that appetite for you Charlotte FC sickos out there that are just itching like I am for to watch a Charlotte FC match, February 5th, you can buy tickets and you can go watch this team play against North Carolina FC for the first time in club history in Raleigh, North Carolina. And from that point on, it will fly by, and before you know it, the season will be here.
Absolutely. I will also add, I broke the news that Charlotte FC will be playing Nashville SC in a preseason closed door friendly on January 24th. That will not be publicly broadcast, but I'm going to be trying to get like some bootleg feed if I can. Somebody recording on their cell phone on Instagram Live or something for that game. That's in Florida. Both clubs are doing their training camps in the, I think, Miami area. So we have a preseason game against Nashville. I think you'll start to see that preseason calendar, and you might hear some rumors on the internet about some closed door friendlies and things. If anybody from the club actually listens to our little project here, please, I beg of you, host a preseason friendly at Bank of America Stadium and let the fans in, please. Because 2 years ago, we had some of those games and we would sell out every ticket allotment, and then they'd have to give us more and more. And we put several thousand in the stands for preseason friendlies, like in February, early February at Bank of America Stadium. And those are amazing memories that I built with, my kids and the other supporters groups. And it's such a good warm up for us as the core fan base to have a chance to see the team, even if it's a game that doesn't matter. I think we played Birmingham Legion in a friendly at Bank of America, and man, it's just a good time. So please, if you're with the club and you're looking for some new ideas, I know we have a chief revenue officer now, Eric Sudel, who comes over from the Dallas Cowboys. Like, if you want some ideas, hit me up, man. I got some ideas, but like, get the fans engaged. You can pump us for money on concessions. You can pump us for money with merch at these events. Whatever. Like, there's definitely a way to make a little bit of revenue, but it gets us excited. It'll start that buzz going earlier in the season before the season really kicks off. It'll help you sell more tickets. We're going to post it on social media. We're going to be talking about how excited we are. Like, if you build that passion within the fan base, we're going to show up for you. So, I would love to see a game hosted at Bank of America Stadium. I think playing the dreaded rival of Charlotte Independence up in Wake Med Field in Cary, North Carolina, NCFC, I think that's a really smart move. That's like a, neutral site for us. I mean, because you're going to have a lot of Charlotte FC fans there. I can tell you from going to the soccer tournament, the TST, winner take all summer tournament they do in Cary, a lot of Charlotte FC gear up there. So I'm excited about that. I'll definitely be trying to make it up there. And what's taking so long? Why did it take 3 seasons for us to play against NCFC? Raleigh is a secondary market for Charlotte, so better late than never. But I think that's a good move. Preseason, we're going to the Coachella Valley tournament. We're going to play LA Galaxy over there again. I think we're playing Vancouver for our second game. We were undefeated in preseason last year, and we did not allow a goal in preseason last year. So that was foreshadowing of things to come. And, let's get back to it, because we have Tim Ream coming back, Andrew Privet, we have Adilson Malanda, and I'm blanking out. Who's our right back? Oh, man, I can see his face. Nathan Byrne. So yeah, we have a jeez.
I wasn't going to say nothing. I knew it was right there. I wasn't going to say anything. I was just going to let you.
I was sitting here. I could see his face, his little smile, and I'm like, he's got that energy late in the game. Yeah, Nathan Byrne.
I was about to give you a hint. I was about to say he's English. He's English.
I was gonna say he's English to you, to prompt you to tell me his name, because I couldn't remember it. I'm not in mid-season form right now.
that second game in Coachella, it's
Oh,
not against Vancouver. It's against the Timbers. It's against the Timbers.
Timbers. Okay, maybe we played Vancouver last year. Then I obviously am
It
not in
was, yeah,
mid-season
that's what
form
it was.
here.
No, no, you're good. Yeah, no. So we did play Vancouver last year, but yeah, this year it'll wrap up with Portland.
And when is our home kickoff?
March 1st. March
March
1st
1st.
is yeah, March 1st is the home kickoff. Like I said, that one is against just the absolute hated Atlanta United, and how cool would it be to have Miguel Almiron to be able to play them? But the first match of the season for Charlotte FC is actually February 22nd. That's the first match. It's going to be a 10:30 kick out in Seattle. So that's going to be a tough one for your first match out in Lumen Field. And again, I if you want to make that trek, I did it in August. I went to Seattle in August. It's going to cost you some money, and it is not a very quick flight. Let me put it that way.
And
It's going to eat a day to get out there. Just know that.
yeah, and it's not a good time of year to visit Seattle either. I can tell you
No,
that from
sir.
experience. But yeah, so if you do want, if we're ready to transition a little bit, I mean, first of all, congrats to Kalina, who was the MLS goalkeeper of the year. He was named to the MLS
Mhm.
starting 11. Awfully funny that the MLS goalkeeper of the year was not even invited to the All-Star game last year, Don Garber.
Isn't that interesting?
Isn't that interesting? But if
Yeah.
you do want to whet your appetite before the season starts, if we're ready to kind of transition a little bit here, actually on February 15th, soccer returns to Charlotte with the Carolina Ascent starting their spring half of the season against Lexington SC at American Legion Memorial Stadium. That is Saturday, February 15th. And you can start to get back in the soccer the soccer mode, by cheering on our ladies with the Ascent. And they just had a major new signing that was announced today. That's Riley Parker, comes to Charlotte from Tampa Bay Sun FC. We needed some more help on the offense, and we signed a striker. So at least one of the Charlotte teams is trying to get some more goals. That's always good to see. On the independence side of things, the beloved local folk hero Austin Pack, USL1 goalkeeper of the year last year, and arguably best goalkeeper in the year in the league this season. Austin Pack has left the club and has been signed by our rivals South Georgia Tormenta. A little bit shocking for me. I thought he would be going to a championship squad, or at least getting a look with some kind of a bigger cachet team, because he is freakishly talented. But now he's going to our regional rival. So Cole, your Greenville side will still be playing against Austin Pack, and my Charlotte side. Apparently, there's some bad blood, because when he got to South Georgia, he was meeting the fans and high fives and handshakes and smiling, and he never did that here in Charlotte. He was always very stoic, very buttoned down and serious, and he wouldn't come out to greet the fans after the games. So, very interesting that Austin Pack may have a little bit of a villain arc here in Charlotte after his incredible performance with the club for the last several seasons. Um, Independence is starting to roll out the players that they're bringing back. Clay Dimmick, the captain, has been re-signed, so Clay will be returning for another season. He was the Iron Man of USL One last season. I think he played the most minutes in the league, coming off of a career-ending back injury, spinal injury. He had a novel surgery. He was named USL One Comeback Player of the Year. Clay Dimmick has been re-signed by the Independents. Charlotte is his home. He's best friends with Brant Bronico. Their families are adorable if you follow them on Instagram. So love to see my buddy Clay come back for the Independents. Just, if we lost Clay, I don't know what we'd do at this point. So little bit of Independence news starting to trickle out. Do you have anything for the Greenville club?
Yeah, I mean a little bit same thing. Sebastian Velasquez, he re-signs with the club. Still kind of waiting to hear. Obviously USL season gets kicked off just a little bit later than MLS
Yep.
does. Um, the schedule has been released for Greenville Triumph. Their first match will be March 8th against the newest member of USL League One. They're in their inaugural season, Luke. Westchester Soccer Club out of the great state of New York. That's going to be the Triumph's first match of the season at home in Greenville. So that first game, man, we'll get to see a brand new club take shape right in front of our eyes, which is pretty cool to see. I like seeing USL grow and get bigger and add more teams. It's always a good thing. So, but yeah, other than that, man, just honestly, just getting a little bit more into it again, getting into the swing of things, and as far as signings and stuff like that, um, yeah, it's just again, it's kind of slow going. I mean, they have signed some a few players. The big one is Michael Gonzalez, a striker from Monterey Bay FC. He joined Greenville Triumph, and yeah, man. One thing they did sign a Furman player. If Ivan, I I've always struggled to say his name. Ajiakwa, and I always just called him Ivan. But he signed from Furman and going to be playing for Greenville Triumph, so he's not going anywhere. He's going to be playing at Furman, which is where Greenville Triumph plays their home matches. So uh, they're getting some signings, and obviously we will continue to try to keep you as updated as we can with the Triumph Independence, and obviously all of USL. We love the Open Cup, and we go Luke. He covers Independence and goes up there, and we've had Jamie Smith on from the Triumph on the pod, and I try to get out to Triumph games if Charlotte's not playing at home, Charlotte FC that is, and go out there and show them some support too.
Excellent. Well, I do want to give a little update here. I know uh, the USL teams that are debuting um, are coming in hot and heavy. You mentioned Westchester up in New York. Just for reference, I'm from upstate New York. I'm from Syracuse, central New York. We don't claim Westchester. That's the city as far as we're concerned. That's downstate. So we don't claim them. But yeah, Portland, Maine is called the Portland Hearts of Pine. They are another new team, and they released their
Hey
kit.
man, why are all those teams from up there have the wildest names, dude?
Oh my God. Have you seen this Portland Hearts of Pine? Have you seen like their crest and their kit?
Yeah, I have actually.
Oh my God. Straight fire, dude. It looks like it's out of an LL Bean catalog. It is beautiful. Like that is my number one soccer kit that I want right now is this main it just says main period on the front of this kit and it's like a black and like forest green hoops. Like it really hits every single note that I want in a kit. And like my kid's mom is from Maine, so they're like half Mainer kids. So I'm excited about the Portland Hearts of Pine. I think they're the number one, and actually LL Bean is their sleeve sponsor because of course it is. Um, Texoma FC is starting out in the Southwest. Corpus Christi will get a USL League One team. I don't think they're debuting this season. AV Alta FC is coming in. FC Naples, Santa Barbara Sky. Like, I mean, there are a ton of teams that are debuting in USL One in the next year or two. So, just shout out to the league, USL. Obviously, we're credentialed media for USL, so I'm able to join their press conferences. They usually do one in the preseason and one mid-season update. So if listeners have any questions they would like answered about USL, our friends in the Mecklenburg Reserves, or anybody else, shoot me a message on social media. I'll make sure to add it to my list of questions. I normally get a few questions there. They've said for the last year or so they're going to visit Charlotte and sit down with us and do some interviews. That hasn't happened yet, but I'll stay on them. We have let me see if I can. Yeah, FC Naples debuting this year. Portland Hearts of Pine, Texoma, and Westchester are the three new clubs, and Corpus Christi is next season. So USL One is surviving. We have a number of teams that have actually advanced up to USL Championship. There's not promotion and relegation yet. I know they've been saying that they want to introduce promotion and relegation at some point. They're just working on the logistics of it. But USL Championship is swelling. They are growing by leaps and bounds. So just to give you an idea, the new clubs that are joining Championship, obviously we have Lexington SC, who was USL One club. They bought promotion despite being, I think, the bottom team in USL One. You have North Carolina FC, who bought promotion after winning a championship, slightly different, beating my Charlotte Independence in dreadful fashion. Who are the new clubs? Let's see. Sacramento Republic, I think they've been in there for a little while. Hartford Athletic is a new one. Connecticut, I guess. And in the future, USL Championship is getting Brooklyn FC, Milwaukee, Santa Barbara, Jacksonville, Oklahoma City, and Dallas and Iowa are all getting franchises. So USL Championship growing by leaps and bounds. Very exciting. If you want to support local soccer, support your local soccer teams. That is the Charlotte Independence, the Greenville Triumph, or wherever you may be residing. Cole, Charleston Battery, of course, got to give a shout out to them. They're in championship. They're another Carolina club. Cole, that's enough of USL talk for now. What are you most excited about going into 2025? And let's up the ante. What would you say a New Year's resolution is for your favorite club?
Um, you know, I was gonna say, well, New Year's resolution is easy. That's get a freaking DP10. I think I can probably speak for the vast majority of Charlotte FC supporters when I say that. Yeah, I mean that's realistically what we've been lacking, and to go out, that would be my New Year's resolution. Things I'm looking forward to the most. Honestly, just seeing a year two under Dean Smith and seeing and seeing a follow up season for Christian Kalina and see if he can top himself from last season. Man, just a special season. Obviously, MLS goalkeeper of the year, and let's see if he can keep that rocking and rolling going into 2025. And in personal news, what I'm looking forward to is we are adding another member to the household. We are having a little girl in July, me and my wife. So
All right.
uh,
Congratulations,
it's about to
brother.
be. We are Yeah. So we already have one little girl. I already have a little boy. So and we got three dogs, a cat. So we're just adding to the zoo at this point. That's essentially what we're doing. And yeah, so I'm super excited about that. And yeah, and then honestly, man, just getting to get out there and make some more connections with the Charlotte FC community. Obviously, last year was our first year ever for the Queen City Soccer Show and being credentialed media, which we're super proud of and thankful for. So to be able to continue that in 2025, hopefully get some more player interviews, get some coach interviews, and continue on and try to build this thing up to as big as we can get it for you guys. What about you?
Well, fantastic. So, I kind of stole this from a Twitter question, but my hopes for 2025, what I'm excited about is to see local soccer here in the Carolinas continue to thrive and grow. I mean, every year I feel like I'm seeing more of my friend group on, Facebook, just parents posting videos of their kids playing soccer, going up through like the academy, the developmental level. I have a friend from the Mech Reserves whose kid is playing overseas currently. Um, just watching the opportunities that we have from the youth level up continue to grow, and I want to see some more Carolina players, playing for MLS clubs and Big Five clubs and the national team. So that's exciting. For Charlotte FC, I said my New Year's resolution is that we need to hit on our DP signings. No excuses, just get it done. So Z-Man,
Yeah,
it's all
I
up
mean
to you.
it's
Soren
that
Canetta.
simple. It's that simple, really.
Yeah,
I mean, it really is. You got to hit on at least one of them. You got to hit um and get Carol out of here, man. Just make it easy on ourselves, you know.
yeah,
Let's not get in our own way here.
yeah.
Well,
And
Luke, with that, man, do you have anything else you want to talk about tonight, or, obviously, guys, I want to put this out there for the listeners. Obviously, with the preseason starting up, we are going to be getting back to our regular selves with this podcast. Usually during the season, just to kind of preface everyone, during the season, we usually have a weekly show where we break down what happened in the week past and we look ahead to what's coming. And then obviously talk about news. But Luke also hosts on Twitter. If you don't have a Twitter and you're a Charlotte FC fan, get a Twitter, if nothing else, but to join our Twitter spaces, which is kind of our post game match debrief, bitch session, if you will, depending on the outcome. Uh, but we do the Twitter Spaces. That was a big hit last season. After matches, man, we had some great times with our usual MVPs on who come on and talk ball with us, and yeah, so this is about to be getting more regular as far as the weekly content. Definitely with preseason coming up, and hopefully just bringing you guys some exclusive stuff. I'm waiting to hear back about some specific interview. So hopefully we'll have some things up our sleeves for you guys.
you said it, man. So yeah, check it out. The Twitter Spaces. If there's an alternative to that, I would love to see it. We could do Discord, but we just don't have a big enough Discord server to really host that. Blue Sky doesn't have a voice chat type feature yet. I saw one of the podcasts I follow started doing their live post game show on LinkedIn because they do have that functionality and nobody uses it. I don't think we're going to go down that path. So for now, we're going to stick with the glitchy and buggy Twitter Spaces. But yeah, I mean, hit us up, stay social, and I can't wait for the season, man. 2025, it's a whole new year, and every year Charlotte FC has improved on their performance. I can't wait to see what Dino and the boys do this season.
100%.
Happy New Year. Congrats on your new addition to the family, man. Super happy for you. Shout out to our MVP from the post game spaces, Len, on his retirement. I saw he is on a tropical vacation right now, avoiding this entire cold front that we have here in the Carolinas. I'm jealous, Len. Best wishes to you and your family. Just can't wait to see you guys again and start hanging out with the Charlotte FC family here. And condolences to Southbound and Crown and the loss of Heidi Underhill, everybody that was close with her. Obviously, a big presence in the Charlotte FC community.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, with that being said, we will catch you guys next time on another episode of the Queen City Soccer Show, and where we'll be breaking down some of these preseason shenanigans that go on with Charlotte FC. For Luke, I'm Cole. We're out for the crown.
For the crown.